Hey, what's going on, guys? Back for week 2 NFL picks. Before we get started with the video, please be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Week 1 was super high scoring. It was insane. One of the highest scoring weeks I've ever seen. It's the kind of thing that can happen when all the chalk goes off. So if you made out week 1, great. If you didn't, well, there's always the next week. So I'm looking ahead to this week. If you want to join this week, you can visit my website, dfsprocess.net. All the written information should be out by Thursday, and then the optimal lineup should be out by Friday or Saturday, depending on injuries. So I'm going to add FanDuel this week as well, and maybe a tiers lineup, which is pretty fun on Draftkings to just pick a player from each tier for the main slate. So let's get it. If you're interested, you can visit the website. Let's get ahead and talk about some plays I like for this week 2. So I'm going to do the same picks format that I did for week 1. You guys seem to like it. 6 plays, and just give you guys my reasons for them. At quarterback this week, we have a Drew Brees as the top option. He's a fine option here. $7,200 is a big price to pay for a quarterback. I'm going to go down. I like a value guy. I like Matt Ryan this week. He's only $5,700, which is a bargain. He's playing at home. He's always been a much better home quarterback playing in a dome. Playing in a dome is so much better for scoring. We saw what it did to Ryan Fitzpatrick, as he looked like Joe Montana out there for week 1. So playing in a dome is like playing in Coors. For a baseball reference, he's playing this Carolina defense, their secondary, which is not great. Pro Football Focus has them ranked 29th this year out of 32 teams for their secondary rankings. Ryan is still a well above average quarterback. As long as they solve their red zone issues, he should have some monster weeks. Like in the Philly game, they were driving, but they kept just getting field goals or they missed on 4th down. So if they get into the end zone, they just got to throw to Julio Jones or Sanu, and they should be good. At $5,700, Ryan is a bargain this week. If you're going cheap at quarterback, I think he is the best option, especially cash games. I think it's a good idea to spend down at quarterback for cash games. Last year, when they played the Panthers, Ryan got over 20 in both starts, so that's just another reason why I like him this week. At running back, fade Alvin Kamara at your own will. $9,500. Kamara is going to be pretty chalky this week, but $95 is a big price tag that might drive some people off. But we saw week 1 just how explosive this guy is. He only got 8 carries. He's not much of a running back in this system. Well, he is, but they were just down by so much that they had to throw. But he's like a hybrid wide receiver running back. Like, he got over 100 yards receiving. He's going to get all the red zone opportunities, all the touchdown, all the goal line opportunities with Mark Ingram out for a couple weeks with suspension. So Kamara, until Ingram comes back, I'm just going to continue riding him. Like, he's super safe in this matchup. They're back in the dome. We know how well Drew Brees and the offense plays at home. The Browns defense is a little improved, but they're still not going to be able to keep up with Kamara. And at $9,500, he should get more rushes this week. Like, week 1, Drew Brees had to throw the ball a ton just because they were losing in the second half. That's why he only got 8 carries. But if you're looking at a game flow aspect, if the Saints are up this week, they're going to be running the ball more, which is going to take some yards away from Brees and maybe Michael Thomas. So I think it's still going to help Kamara because he's going to get more rushes. So even at $9,500, Kamara is super safe in this matchup. I'm going to play him at $95. Other running back I like is Melvin Gordon at $74. I'm a big Melvin Gordon fan as well. He's another guy that just plays a huge factor in the passing game. If you play running backs I'd like to play running backs that are 3-down backs that play a factor in the pass game as well. Gordon fits the bill. He got 13 targets in week 1, over 100 yards once again. Like, Kamara and Gordon are the few running backs in the league that can get you 100 rushes, 100 rushing yards, 100 receiving yards. You get the bonus 100 rushing yards and 100 receiving yards for them. They have a chance to do that every week because they play such a huge factor in the whole offense. Like Gordon at $7,400 against the Bills, we saw what Joe Flacco did to that defense, and the Ravens offense did to the Buffalo Bills defense here. So Melvin Gordon should have a field day, not only running but also catching the ball out of the backfield, and he gets all the goal line touches as well. He's a great target in the red zone. So I love Melvin Gordon this week. Even though he didn't get a touchdown, he still had over 30 DraftKings points in week 1, which just shows you the amount of upside that he's capable of. So at $7,400, He's $2,000 cheaper than Kamara and still has the same upside. I think you can play both of them, or if you're looking for savings, you play Gordon because he can get you what Kamara can. In the wide receivers, we're going to start it off with Emmanuel Sanders at 6,200. Sanders just has an amazing connection with Case Keenum. It was the same way during the training camp and preseason. Sanders and Keenum just looked great out there together. Week 1 against the Seahawks, that showed itself again as he got 11 targets, 135 yards, and a touchdown. The Broncos' pass game is pretty easy to solve. If you're going to play them, you play Sanders or you play Thomas. I think Sanders is a better play this week just because of the connection he has with Case Keenum. He's looking good. He's still cheap at 6,200, and he's a #1 wide receiver for Keenum. This Raiders defense, they traded away Khalil Mack. They're not as good as they were in the years past, so I have no problem playing Sanders at 6,200 at home. She'll get a bunch of targets here and always has that breakaway speed ability. So I love Sanders. Another wide receiver I like is Nelson Agholor at 6,100. Agholor is cheap. He has upside just because Alshon Jeffrey is out. And without Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Agholor becomes the #1 wide receiver. He's going to get involved in the offense in so many ways. If you saw week 1 against the Falcons, Nick Foles just kept checking down to Agholor, just kept checking down to him. The Falcons do have a good secondary, so even though Agholor got a bunch of targets, he got 10 targets, 8 catches, only 33 yards because Foles just couldn't get the deep ball going, just had to just throw short passes just because the Falcons secondary is good. But now he's facing the Bucs, which have probably the worst secondary in the league. Agholor has speed. He can break off a big one this week, and he's going to get a ton of targets. He's super safe this week, and without Jeffrey, it just makes sense to play him against this Tampa Bay defense. So I like Alshon Jeffrey a lot this week at 61. And then for the flex, I'm going to give you guys Mohamed Sanu. You know I like to do stacking quarterback wide receiver. Sanu is only at 4K. That is a very cheap price tag. Looking at his prices from last season, he's about $1,500 to $2,000, too cheap. In this matchup against the Panthers, I already told you guys they are ranked 29th by Pro Football Focus in secondary. Sanu, #2 wide receiver, lining up opposite of Julio Jones. Doesn't get a lot of attention from defenses, but in this matchup against the Panthers, I like him quite a bit. He's only at 4K, as I said. That's super cheap for him. He's a great receiver, a good red zone target as well. I mean, last year he doubled Julio Jones' touchdown catches. He had 6. Jones only had 3. But at home, he plays great against the Panthers. He had great games last year, so I think Sanu is a great play this week at 4K. So he's super cheap. So that's all I got for you. Those are the 6 plays I like for week 2. Please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Follow me on Twitter at the DFS Process, and you can check out my website. Put the link in the description if you want to join this week. So you get all written articles as well as optimal plays if you want to use them. So thanks for watching, and good luck this week.